Imagine a wild, untamed river. Its waters rush powerfully between two banks. On one side, a small group of ancient people stands watching. On the other side lies new hunting grounds, fresh water, and unknown opportunities. But the river separates them. It is dangerous, deep, and unforgiving. How do they cross? This single problem, the need to cross water safely, would change human history forever. Today, we are going back to the very beginning. We will discover how ancient people built the first bridge in human history. Welcome to this journey into the forgotten world of early construction. Long before cities, before writing, before metal tools, our ancestors faced a constant obstacle: rivers, streams, and deep ravines. These waters blocked their movement for hunting, gathering food, and migrating to better lands. Every time they needed to move, they risked their lives trying to swim across or wade through dangerous currents. Many did not survive. The need for a safe crossing became one of the first great engineering challenges in human existence. The very first bridges were born in prehistoric times, tens of thousands of years ago. These were not grand structures of stone. They were simple, honest, and incredibly effective. A single strong log laid across a narrow part of the stream. Let us picture how they did it. First, the community had to find the right tree. They looked for tall, straight trees with strong, dense wood. Using only stone axes and fire, they worked together to cut it down. This alone could take days. Multiple men swung their axes in rhythm, chipping away at the trunk until the mighty tree finally fell with a thunderous crash. Then came the hardest part, moving the log. Dozens of men, women, and even children worked as one. They tied ropes made from plant fibers around the log. Using long wooden poles as levers, they rolled and dragged the heavy timber toward the riverbank. Sweat poured down their bodies. Their muscles burned, but they continued because they knew their survival depended on it. When they reached the water's edge, the real engineering began. They had to position the log perfectly. If it rolled or slipped, someone could fall into the rushing water and be lost. To solve this, they placed large flat stones or smaller supporting logs underneath the main beam. These created simple abutments, stable platforms on each bank. They carefully notched the ends of the log so it would lock into place. Before anyone stepped on it, they tested it. A brave individual would slowly crawl across, feeling every movement. Only when they were sure it could hold weight would the rest of the group follow. These simple log bridges were revolutionary. They allowed people to cross safely and quickly. They connected families. They opened new territories. And they represented the birth of structural engineering. As centuries passed, human knowledge grew. Different civilizations began building more permanent crossings. In ancient Mesopotamia, along the great Euphrates River, people constructed early timber bridges. They drove strong wooden piles into the riverbed to create supports. They laid heavy planks across them, creating walkways that could handle not just people, but goods and animals. The ancient Egyptians showed incredible skill with stone. While they are most famous for pyramids, they also built bridges and causeways using massive limestone and granite blocks. But perhaps the most legendary early bridges appeared in ancient China. There, engineers developed sophisticated wooden and stone structures. Some of the earliest known permanent bridges spanned wide rivers using clever combinations of beams and supports. Let us look closer at the advanced techniques these early builders mastered. First, site selection was critical. They carefully studied the river. They chose the narrowest point where the current was less violent. They examined the soil on both banks to ensure it could support heavy weight without collapsing. Once the location was chosen, they cleared the area. Trees were removed, ground was leveled, and the banks were strengthened with packed earth and stone. Building in water presented the greatest challenge. To create solid foundations underwater, they invented cofferdams. These were temporary watertight boxes made of wooden piles driven deep into the riverbed. Clay and earth sealed the walls. Workers then baled or pumped out the water inside, creating a dry space to build the foundation. Hundreds of laborers worked in dangerous conditions. Fast currents could sweep men away. Sudden floods could destroy weeks of work in minutes. Yet they persisted. The labor was immense. Workers hauled stones weighing several tons. They used thick ropes made from plant fibers, long levers, wooden rollers, and sledges pulled by teams of men. To move materials higher, they constructed massive earthen ramps. These ramps allowed them to drag stones upward gradually. The precision of their stonework remains astonishing. In many cases, they cut massive blocks so perfectly that they fit together tightly without any mortar. The weight of the stones above locked them in place, creating structures that could survive for centuries. These ancient builders passed their knowledge through generations. Fathers taught sons. Master craftsmen trained apprentices. Each successful bridge carried the pride of the entire community. Some of the earliest suspension bridges also appeared in remote mountain regions. Using strong vines and ropes, people created flexible bridges that could sway with the wind, yet still carry travelers safely across deep gorges. Over time, the technology evolved from simple log crossings to permanent stone arch bridges. The arch was a brilliant invention. It distributed weight beautifully, allowing bridges to span greater distances while using less material. Later, the Romans would perfect the stone arch bridge. Their magnificent structures still stand today. But we must remember, they built upon the knowledge and experience of the cultures that came before them. Let us walk through the full construction process of an early permanent bridge step by step. It begins with careful site selection. Engineers study the river for months, observing water levels and currents. Next, they prepare the banks, clearing vegetation and building reinforced platforms. Then comes foundation work. Using cofferdams, they create dry working areas in the river. They dig down to solid bedrock when possible and lay massive foundation stones. Vertical supports, called piers, rise from these foundations. These must resist the constant force of water and ice. Finally, the deck or roadway is placed across the supports. In timber bridges, heavy beams are laid and covered with planks. In stone versions, carefully cut slabs form the surface. Before opening the bridge, They test it. Small groups walk across first. Then they add heavier loads, animals, carts, stones, watching carefully for any movement or weakness. When the bridge stands strong, the moment is unforgettable. The first person walks across confidently. Cheers rise from both banks. A new connection is born. The impact of that first bridge cannot be overstated. It connected communities that were once separated. It made trade possible. It allowed knowledge, tools, and culture to spread. It was one of humanity's greatest early victories over nature. These forgotten builders had no machines, no computers, no steel or concrete. They worked only with their hands, their minds, and their courage. And they changed the course of civilization. Today, when we drive across modern bridges of steel and concrete, we stand on the shoulders of those ancient laborers. Every bridge we cross carries their legacy. So the next time you cross a river, take a moment to remember. Think about the generations of craftsmen who improved the design, and feel respect for the incredible human spirit of innovation and labor that connects our world. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into ancient construction, subscribe and join us as we continue exploring the forgotten labor that built our civilization. The story of human achievement is written in stone, timber, and the hands that shaped them.